But like, how many people actually pursue their dream their whole life without giving up and like giving their whole heart into it? It's very few, and those people achieve their dreams.
Do we think that's the formula?
I mean, if we look at the people who achieve their dreams, they all have that in common.
And they didn't give up. That's probably the one thing. They do have that in common.
And they put everything they put their heart, they're all into it.
But that's part of the calculated risk that Malik was talking about. You have to be willing to take that risk to put everything on the line. You have to roll the dice, and it's like
because you very well could put everything into it and fail.
Yes.
But that's the only way you're gonna achieve your dream.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Welcome to another episode of StoryTime Podcast. It's your host and the family. Episode 11 now. Bell game week. It feels good because the bell feels good when it's back on WABASH campus tomorrow, bright and early tomorrow morning. So, brought to you by we in a stadium, y'all. You know, I'm actually sitting down. The seat actually feels good. I'm never sitting down and I never get a seat because the table too high, so I don't like to even, associate myself with the table when the table don't like to associate itself with me. So, therefore, we're feeling good today. So, who want to crack it off with a week and talk about the Bell game? Actually, let's talk about what you're most excited for this weekend. Let's start off that way. What you guys most excited for this weekend?
Are we allowed to disclose that on the podcast? let me say, my physics professor in class today said that he's not assigning homework for Sunday night. That's usually due on Monday. So I'm looking forward to not having homework on Sunday.
Good answer. Yeah, but they say ding, 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 ding.
I think I am most excited to see I feel like the campus really comes together during Bell Week. I think that's one of the few times that I really feel like a true sense of brotherhood is demonstrated, right? Like no matter who you are, where you're from, like if we win, like we bumping into each other, we screaming and yelling, we
all the testosterone,
on to each other by the neck, like we're having a good time, like we're chilling. So that's what I'm most excited for. And then the festivities to come, of course, after a great win are also worth being noted.
What do they say? Nothing brings people together like a common enemy.
That's right.
That's true.
What's up? I'm most excited for this weekend Bell game. So I mean, if y'all can't tell already, Bell, give me the bell. What's the spell?
Ding ding.
Ding ding. Any other language you want to ping. Come on, I'm ready for it.
Hey, hold on. Can we take a second to talk about your outro from last week?
What was the outro last week?
Where you made that noise.
Oh, let's not. That's not. Chase, come on.
We skipped over Kabir.
Oh, I skipped Kabir too, yeah.
I mean, I just found out that y'all having a football game this Saturday, so I guess I'll be here. I'll try to make an appearance, see what's going on.
Last weekend was a fun weekend.
Oh, yeah. Did you get the photos I sent?
I've not got them yet. No, I haven't got them yet.
Check your Instagram, right?
Okay.
Check the What's Your Story vlog Instagram. I sent like 50 or 60 of them in there.
Oh, man, I need to get them posted. Okay, I'm gonna check out shit.
For me, it's gonna be a pretty chill weekend. I don't really have much planned, but that's okay. I'm a big fan of just staying at home and just relaxing a little bit before everything gets crazy during the week. So plan on watching some Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? This weekend, me and my girlfriend, we're going to finish decorating because we already got our Christmas tree up. So we're going to finish decorating.
Oh, nice.
All right, hold on, y'all. Is it too early to start hanging Christmas stuff up before Thanksgiving?
I think it is.
Thanksgiving.
I think it's a crime.
What?
I think it's a crime.
Okay, so this is what we did. All right.
Because you called me off about it. You said Christmas. Hold on, Thanksgiving?
All right, yeah. So this is what we did. All right. So we put up our Christmas tree, but we also have stuff that represent Thanksgiving. So it's like we got both holidays going on right now.
Simultaneously.
Yeah. So we got both holidays going on, and we've already started listening to Christmas music. So.
Merry Thanksgiving.
Merry Thanksgiving.
I like it. Now, Chase, you said something earlier when we were setting up and stuff, and we got into this booth, and I guess not booths. What is this, press box? We got into this press box, and you're like, man, something about WABASH. And I was trying to tell you how like we're a high school. It feels like a high school 2.0.
Yeah.
Like grown men in high school. We were talking about the basketball game. So Chase is like, they almost let y'all do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, how would it have been?
I mean, it's just completely different from like, just like a big university. When you're in a big university, everybody, like they I don't know how to word this, but just here it feels like everybody is just everybody. It's so homely,
Yeah.
It's like you walk around, it's like, oh, like hi, like I haven't seen you in a long time, but hi. It's like you know those people. When you're on a big campus, you don't know everybody. You run into new people every single day, so it's a little bit different.
Man, I couldn't imagine being known, but then still being unknown. Like you could be like the star player on the football team, and like you can run into a janitor at the stadium, and they try and like kick you out. Like, who are you? Like, I'll play here, bro. Like, but here you can just be like, I'm a student, and they don't even check who you are. But beyond that point, you know, that's pretty cool. But whose quote of the day do we want to start with? Do we want to start with your quote?
Yeah, we can start with mine.
All right, start. But yours always lead us into a conversation.
Okay, so we can start with yours.
Do we think? All right. Okay. Quote of the day number 1. It's a little lengthy here, but follow along when I read this one. It says, "The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he's working or playing. To him, he is always doing both."
All right, is this a quote or a poem, bro?
It's a quote. It's a quote. Do I need to read it again?
Yeah, you gotta read that again. It must be about like one-third the way through.
Okay, look.
Okay, it should be done.
"The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he is always doing both."
Okay. And read like the first sentence again. Who are we talking about? The master or something?
The master in the art of living.
Master in the art of living. Okay.
So what does that mean to you?
Let it soak in. Let it soak in. Because when I initially heard this, and I guess I'll break it down what I initially thought. I initially thought that many times I can't necessarily distinguish it for myself, right? So then, and I think about my life right now at this point, and I would say that I'm truly, the master of living in this point, because sometimes when I'm working, it feels like I'm also playing, right? Like work is play. I mean, think about it. Our conversations, 9 times out of 10 are meaningful, and like we stay up late nights and we have conversations about, late night sleepy talk, whatever you want to call it. But many times those conversations usually lead to something major, right? So it's like we're in our leisure time and we're laboring. We're working, still in our labor. So like, what do you say? Labor and leisure, mind and his body, his education and his recreation. And we won't hit on, his love and his religion. They're all intertwined, right? And he leaves it to other people to kind of tell the difference, right? So somebody from the outside is like, man, I don't know if he's working or is he playing. And it reminded me, it took me to when I told you guys the story about my boss when over the summer, when we were having, and it was with my interns and my boss, we were at a country club outing, and I was speaking with him, and he's like, he pulls me to the side, he said, because he was telling me about his leadership style. He's joking, and they call, people call him B-word, they say, hey, you're, and he says it back, and, ha ha, he. But he said, do you think that what I'm doing right now, do you think that I'm working or do you think I'm playing? And he literally said this to me. I wonder if he knows this quote. But I said, it looks like you're just joking around. He said, no, I'm not joking around. This is my leadership style. And you know why I do this? He said, right now I'm pulling everyone to the side and asking them to do something. And they would never tell me no. Right? So I found that this quote took me straight to that, and then it also took me a little bit to my life. But that's powerful. It's like they perceive him as, leisuring or joking around and being fluffy, but it's his labor, right? So it's little distinction between the two. What do you guys think about that? It's deep. So
When I first I guess the second time I heard the quote, because the first time it didn't soak in all the way. But
Yeah.
I guess my first impression is it just like reminds me of, if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of give me the same vibe, the same idea.
What do you think?
No, please go ahead.
I mean, I agree with you, Chris. No, I definitely get the feeling that you see. And overall, like, when you start to balance all the things that are coming into your life, your work, mind, health, you start to balance all those, like, really fluently. Like, other people might see it as, like, what is this guy doing? Is he playing or that? But maybe they just haven't figured out how to balance it themselves. But once you find a way to balance all those things coming into your life, you really just start doing it effortlessly, and you begin to live a little bit more.
Where'd you find this?
I actually heard it from a different podcast too. They kind of talked about it. I didn't get a chance to finish that podcast, so I don't know what they went into. But yeah, I found it from another podcast. It's different. It's different for sure. What's you guys' initial takes on it?
What do you think?
No, I think it's very powerful. I think it can go over a lot of people's heads, initially, but when you really boil it down, it's you just finding that balance between the two, and I think that's a hard concept to find. It's everybody struggles with finding that balance between work and play, but I think if you can do it, then that's when you're really living.
And one of the things that it did mention, I recall on that, was religion and love too. But before we dive any deeper, I do want to take a moment, because I do want Malik to share his initial thoughts before we dive into specifically one of the, what do you think on that?
I don't know. It's something about it just doesn't rub me the right way. I think it may be the definitive, the master in the art of living, right? Makes little distinction. I think that's the part that kind of gets me, because is it alluding to to be a master, right, at living?
You have to,
I guess for yourself.
do
I
both.
guess it's kind of alluding.
But
to
is it to be that master, do you have to take away the distinction? So usually for the most part, or at least I would consider myself a person at a phase in life where I'm trying to figure out what these elements are individually. So what is my mind versus what is my body, right? What is my labor? What do I find labor, right? And then where do I truly find leisure, right? And then what is the difference between education and recreation, and where do they even overlap? So what parts of being educated do I genuinely enjoy, right? So from reading this, it seems as if makes little distinction mean you're not even worried about trying to trace the fine lines of where they start and stop, where each individual starts.
I would say so too. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But you're just letting yourself be yourself, and I don't
I see what you're saying, because it's not necessarily it's almost like you're doing all things at all times. Right? So it's almost saying you're living by doing all these things that it lists. And for you guys, I would definitely add this previously, so you guys can take a look at this too, because it is kind of bulky, but it's kind of like doing all things at one time, not necessarily knowing the difference, right? Distinguishing the difference between love and religion, because they're all intertwined for your, this is you living. So I think it's fascinating. I did just want to kind of bring that up for initial thoughts of everyone. Not necessarily to break that down too much, because it can get very, into the core. But I did think when I first read that, it was very. So I challenge you guys to kind of think about that, and that's quote number 1 of the day.
You ready for quote number 2?
Quote number 2.
Let's get deep.
It's a simple one, but we can get deep on it.
We always get deep with chases.
It comes from Denzel Washington. He was giving a commencement speech at a college, and the first thing he said was, the most selfish thing you can do in this world is to help others.
Why is that selfish?
Because of the gratification that comes to you from helping somebody else. the joy that you get when you help somebody, you go out of your way to help somebody else.
Is it selfish or kindness?
See, I don't know. I might push back on that a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're telling me you've never, like, someone's never asked you to do a favor or whatever, and you're like, all right, I'll go do it.
I mean, of course, yeah.
And you do it reluctantly. So it's like you don't get no gratification out of that, but, I mean, maybe a little bit, but, you know, you're just doing it to help someone.
I think he meant more like giving back, like volunteering, or like you're seeing somebody like on the street who could like use your help, and you're going out of your way to help that person. Not necessarily like somebody like asking you a favor, but like you specifically going out of your way to give back to the community and to others.
So is he saying you shouldn't help other people?
No, he's saying you should, because of the self-gratification that you get from doing it.
See, the word selfish has a certain connotation, a negative one. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when I heard that, like, it's selfish to help other people, it sounds like he's saying you shouldn't help other people.
No, I think what he means is you should do it more. Like, you should be selfish about it. Like, you should do it more, because when you do it more, you'll feel better about yourself.
Oh,
so he's like trying to appeal to narcissists, right?
Yeah. Chris, what you think?
That's very interesting.
Well, I was thinking one thing, and now I just switched to a different thing, and now I'm stuck in between the middle between those two things and what exactly this even means. And I'm really trying to break it down from a perspective that we not necessarily are seeing from the 10. So just give me a minute to kind of let that simmer.
My thing is like, okay, well then by that standard, is there any such thing as like being selfless at all, right? Because I mean, you would get some kind of gratification out of really doing anything for anyone other than yourself, right? So you see what I'm saying? So what I mean, I see like what his point is, but I guess like my question would be like, what is he really saying, right? Because it almost sets the standard, right, when you say something.
See, I don't know if I agree with the way he worded it. I mean, the idea behind it, I think, is true. Like, helping people does give you a good feeling in most cases. And I think it's, you know, a good idea to promote, you know, helping people, and to promote, you know, people, I guess, chasing that feeling. But is that selfish? I don't know.
This kind of brings me to the topic of the day that just hit me in the head. It's actually a topic that I wrote about at one point, and also had many discussions about. And it's pretty much, and forgive me if I butcher this a little bit, but it's, when do we know our dreams versus reality, right? We always have dreams of doing Hollywood, or, you know, being a rapper or being an NFL player. But when do we allow those dreams to turn into, like, now it's reality that we have to get a job now, or now it's reality that we actually have to do something. So, like, when do we allow those dreams to deter our reality? Or, like, when do we know that we have to kind of, you know, switch those two, if that makes sense to you guys? So, dreams versus reality, right? You say you can be anything you want in life, but then at some point you have to get a job, right? At some point you have to get a 9 to 5. At some point you have to go have to start paying bills, bringing money into the house. So at what point do we stop chasing our dreams and kind of face reality, right? Or is there any point
that's something that I brought up last week. We were talking about, like, passions and chasing your passion.
I think it's a good continuation, yeah.
Right, and then I believe, like, the consensus or the idea was that, like, if it's truly your passion, then you're not going to stop chasing it, and you're going to find a way to be involved. So, like, if football is your passion, you'll be a coach or a water boy or something like that.
But I'll say your dream, right? So your dream would be a little bit different.
That is
because
true.
Your dream would be like, I'm dreaming to be
an NFL player
in this vehicle, right? I'm dreaming to be, if we're talking about last week's terms, I'm dreaming to be in that vehicle. I'm dreaming to be in that job, right? I'm dreaming to be that. But at some point when things don't start going your way, you know, and then you start getting older, right? Because this is the funny thing to me, and let me break it down this way. We're always told growing up that you can be anything in life that you want to be, right? Mm-hmm. But then when you get to a certain point, they
tell you, okay, now it's time for you to get a job. They stop telling you that you can be anything you want to be. They say, all right, get your butt off the couch and go get a job. Go get a real job. Right.
And you know, like before we even go deeper into this, like I think it has to be acknowledged in terms of when your dreams become too far or unattainable and you decide to change route, or like when it comes to like pursuing your passion. I think those are kind of very closely connected. You can't pursue your dreams, you can't pursue your passion if you are trying to survive, right? You can't be working just enough to, you know, barely be able to take care of yourself and then expect to, you know, have the time and energy, right, to go off and pursue passions that won't put food on the table tomorrow, or maybe not next week, or maybe not even by next year, right? So, I mean, like, at some point, because, like, you have to feed yourself, right?
But what point is that, right? It's kind of tough because, like,
I think it's different for everyone.
and I was about to say, I think like
some
that
people
in
have
itself,
more support structures than
like
others.
that is a privilege, right? And it comes down to
whenever
the
you
person.
really start to get to the age when you're starting to make important decisions and life-changing decisions, that's more than likely the right moment to start adjusting your actions and start seeing that, okay, in order for me to get to this point in my life, which is my passion, my goal, my dreams, I gotta take the long route, or if you're privileged, you could take the fast route or something like that. But you gotta see it and just like stay focused on it, really. But yeah, just around that, I don't know. Usually, it's probably around high school age. You start making those important decisions.
I think that, you know, it's okay to chase your dreams as long as you understand that you also have to realize the reality of you chasing that dream. Like, for instance, when say you want to be like an astronaut, right? You have to face the reality that you're going to be in school for a very long time. And if you don't like school, then do you really want to chase this dream, you know? I don't think you can actively chase your dream if you can't also look at the reality of you chasing that dream.
Yeah. And going off of that, I remember one of the phrases that kind of came up in this. It's like, is your dream really? Do you really believe in your dream? Because if you did, then it would be your reality, right? So then that kind of made me sit and think, like, wow, if you really believe that you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do, right? And if you really believe in your dream, then it would be essentially your vision of reality, right? So you would never stop chasing that dream because.
But then what happens when that dream fails? What do you do then?
But then, exactly.
Pick yourself back up and you keep going.
And you're still going, right? So then it's like, what point do I say it's not going to work, right? Because we all know those people who get to that age where, like, they're still trying to, you know, hell, I know a cousin of mine that's, like, 26 still thinking that he's going to go to the NFL, right? Like, he's still working out, trying to train every day, thinking he's about to get some shot at the NFL. But it's like, I don't want to, you know, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but, you know.
I was going to say, this has been done before.
I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but at the same time.
I was going to say, right?
Yeah, it's definitely attainable.
It's pretty hard to, but, like, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But hey,
So, like,
all I'm saying is
if you want to chase that, you know, that's all good or whatever, but you also have to survive at the same time. Like, survival first, everything else second.
It's hard to do both.
It is. So, like, he's, you know, got to make enough money doing whatever to put food on the table, roof over his head, all that. And then all his extra time, you know, goes into training for the NFL. But then is that enough time being put in? So, I don't know.
No, I think you're on the right track, Zen. I think at some point you're going to need to, like, do some self-reflecting to see why aren't you successful in that dream? Like, why haven't you achieved it? And if you know, the reason why you haven't achieved it is because, you know, you're lazy, you know, you're not working hard, you know, you're not, you know, going out and trying to make yourself known, then you really should take a look and see, you know, what you're doing, like, what's your, like, actual purpose in life. Like, maybe you just need to face reality and just do something different.
Also understand the risk of chasing your dreams, because from the football analogy, like, it can come with injuries, you can get dropped, and then all those things can crush your dreams. So really understand the risk that you're taking when you're choosing on what dream you really want to chase.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. You only live once. You only live once. But like that, like line, like I see it as like a line that you guys are referring to. I think
what point is the line? Yeah.
I think it's individual, right? It's from person to person, and I think it kind of depends on, right, number one, like how much you really believe in your dream, and then number two, right, like the support structures you have around you in chasing that dream, right? Because like if you have the proper support, I mean, you can fail. You can go the first 6 years being profitless, right? And then, I mean, turn it around. So, I mean, it just depends on the circumstances and context. But I think it's a somewhat calculated risk for somewhat calculated kind of like analysis on that line for each person.
So we're thinking about this from a work, corporate, job, sport analogy, right? Perspective. Let's flip it, because I love to do this. Relationships, right? So then, when is it that you stop chasing your dream in a relationship, and then face reality that, hey, I'm not the what's my man's name off SpongeBob who had the nice tan that all the women liked? Y'all know what I'm talking about?
I didn't watch SpongeBob, so I don't know.
Oh, he had the nice tan. He was the big man, and all the women.
Larry the Lobster?
Larry the Lobster. There we go. I'm not Larry the Lobster, but that's the name of the podcast, Larry the Lobster. But I'm not Larry the Lobster. I'm really just, I don't look as good as these other guys, but I'm settling for, reality is I don't look as good as the other guys. My dream is to get the, most
attractive girl.
Exactly, the most attractive girl in the world, but I'm not I'm not that guy, and it's been demonstrated over time after time after time. When do I face reality and say, hey, I'm just going to pick out of the bunch that's for me, right?
I think your first mistake was purely looking at looks.
Right.
Of course, and I guess not just looks, right? I guess when we say top of the line, we're talking about everything, right? But you're just not fitting that reception. Like, you're not getting that back. Your dream is to get the best everything. Looks, smarts, brains, everything. The best everything. But in reality, it just hasn't been coming to you.
Okay. Wait, but before we really dive into that,
Please, yep.
I think that's very it depends on the person, right? I mean, because that one person may look good to you, but to me, she's not attractive at all, right?
I agree.
So I mean, we can say that they're the top of the line, but they may only be the top of the line for that one person.
Agreed. So we're figuratively creating this figure, right? Because we're speaking of those, right? Those of us who are chasing a dream of some type of figure, right? It can be, even in this scenario, we can imagine it to be our best figure, right? Which some of us may already have, right? So we can imagine this to be our best figure. When do we stop chasing that dream of getting the best figure and get the figure that's right there in front of us?
I think that comes with maturity. I think a big part of that is just you maturing as a person, realizing that nobody's perfect, right? You're not gonna find the perfect scenario. You're not gonna find your perfect match. But what I have found is that, for instance, my girlfriend and I, we may not be the perfect match, but we fit together perfectly. I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And to build onto that, I don't think there's one person out of I think that we have a lot of good matches, right? I think we have a lot of matches that are better than some of the others, right? I'm sure we've all been or know people who have been in relationships where they look back and they're I probably could have married that person, right? I probably could have spent the rest of my life with that person, right? But now they're happily married and they wouldn't change what they have now, right? So I mean, I don't know. I think the same element about that bothers me is the same element about the master of living. I always get these definitive statements about that's all you know what I mean, the perfect one. Get that out of here, man. There's 7 billion people and it's an unfathomable amount of people. So how can you even?
It's a dream versus reality.
When it comes when it comes down to it, right? If there's like a specific, I guess, person you want, or a specific type of person, you gotta look at like, why would that person like talk to me? Why would that person be interested in me? Like, who would that person be interested in, right? And you have to think like, do I fit that description? Am I happy with the way I am now, or do I need to improve myself, right? So I mean, it's just like we're going to use the football analogy again, right? So if you want to get to the NFL, you can't make it how you are now. Like, you got to go through a transformation, right? You have to make yourself into something better. You have to work on your body, your agility, right? Your skills. It's the same way with dating, right? If you want to get one of like a supermodel or something, they don't just date anyone, right? I mean, and it's more than just money too.
I'm not willing to give the assumptions that you would, because you would be assuming what you think this person wants or likes, and I'm not willing to give any of that any merit.
Okay,
or like
you
any
didn't let me
credibility.
finish.
No, but like
You didn't let me finish.
wherever you go, right? Like,
But like, it don't matter. Okay, maybe you misinterpreted me a little
Okay,
bit.
okay.
Maybe I didn't phrase myself correctly. I'm not saying to like, try and guess. Oh, she likes someone who plays tennis, and she likes somebody who likes to do crossword puzzles in the morning, and she likes somebody.
Oh, I hope. I
who-
mean, was she like
you know what I'm
7-year-old?
saying? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, what is like the ideal boyfriend or like the ideal man, and I'm talking more of like things that everybody can strive for, right? Like, all football players are striving for the same type of stuff, agility, strength, speed, catching, like being able to hold on to the ball and stuff. And so like, as a man, right, you have to, I mean, even not just a man, like as a person, right, there's things that you should strive for, like kindness, humility, assertiveness, and like, things like that. And so you got to be able to look at yourself and like see where you're lacking and see where you can improve and try and be like that person. Because if you want somebody who's the full package, right, you want a girl that's kind and funny and smart and beautiful, you got to be all those things yourself. If you want to, because like you're going to attract kind of what you are. Because like you said, you end up being with someone who fits almost perfectly with you. Mm-hmm. And so in order to, like, if you want a certain, like, you have a certain ideal of what you want, then you have to be what's going to, like, mesh with that, if that makes sense.
Two things on that, I would say. One, we can't necessarily say that, like, even with those things, I think that's still to the principle of, like, you just don't know, regardless of what it is. I mean, of course, we think that those are morally correct principles, right? But at the same time, we really don't know if they even like, I mean, if the opposite end, if who we're going after even likes those moral or follows the moral principles of being nice, respectful, So I think that's one thing. But also, in this dreams versus reality entire topic, I would say that we're presuming that we understand that it's things that it takes to reach this dream, but at the same time, it's like we're doing the things that it takes to reach this dream, but we're still not achieving it. So like that's the angle that we're looking at. We're doing all those things, but we're not achieving the dreams. So when is it time for us to stop striving for that dream and face reality of us not getting it?
okay.
Because we're doing the things, whatever it is, right?
When you phrase it that way, like I could see. So tell me this: would you consider this an example of this?
Yeah.
Or an example of what you just described?
Yeah.
Let's say like I'm a business owner, right, and I see my company going in a direction, right, and it's not going as fast, right, or the way that I want it to go in the direction I'm dreaming of it and going. Would you see like me making a business model pivot? Like, would you see that as me accepting the reality of
Good question.
my dream not
That's a
coming
good question.
true, right?
That's a good question. I mean, let's think about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, essentially, you're on the right track of we're making progress trying to get to this dream, right? We're making progress, but at the same time, it's like making a pivot is almost facing reality that this track that we're on is not going to reach the dream.
Right.
So possibly, I would say that that's facing reality. That's a face of reality.
Well, that's a very. I said again, it's a very calculated.
It's
decision,
it is a very calculated risk because I mean, if you look at, for instance, there's so many examples like Walt Disney when he was creating like Disney World, he was turned down like 300 times, but look what it is now.
Really? Is that the case? Oh wow, I never heard
Or
this story.
Who's the creator of
Marvel.
no
Bill Gates.
no
Oh,
Harry Potter?
Yeah.
She was turned down how many times before they actually published the book? They
Also-
wanted her to switch everything around, but she was like, no, this is how it is, and she stuck with it.
Wasn't that like Squid Games that you were telling me about?
Yeah.
Like the case
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
with Squid Games. Like, what was the story with him?
What do you mean?
Like, what was the
Well,
storyline?
he's been working on his thing for like 10 years or 20 years or something like that. He got turned down by all kinds of studios and stuff and now it's like, viral and one of the best TV shows out right now.
Yeah.
So.
See, that just tells me, when I look back at all the people that denied me in my future, I'm gonna just tell them, y'all should have just rolled the train when I tried to give y'all the
But
wave.
I think that might be my problem with this conversation is we're just assuming that dreams can't be achieved and you have to accept reality and make a change.
Well, no, that's not the assumption. We're saying. So, I guess that almost is the assumption, right? Because if we did not make a change, that means that everyone reaches their dream, and that's not the case. Right?
Yeah,
So,
'cause most people give up.
so we're saying that if you don't give up, that everyone reaches their dream.
But everyone gives up.
Well, they
Not
reach their
everyone, sorry, not
dream,
everyone.
but I'm pretty sure they at one point they do make it that pivot.
But like, how many people actually pursue their dream their whole life without giving up and like giving their whole heart into it? It's very few, and those people achieve their dreams.
Do we think that's the formula?
I mean, if we look at the people who achieve their dreams, they all have that in common,
And they didn't give up. That's probably the
They
one
do
thing
have that in
this is-
common.
and they put everything they put their heart, they're all into it.
But that's part of the calculated risk that Malik was talking about. You have
Right.
to be willing to take that risk to put everything on the line. You have to roll the
Right.
dice, and it's like,
Because you very well could put everything into it and fail.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But that's the only way you're gonna achieve your dream.
yeah.
There's no other way. So it is a risk.
It's only success through failure.
So I
So
guess
there's
it
not
depends on
always
if you're willing to take the risk. Like, is your dream worth the risk?
So there's not always a point of facing reality. Reality could essentially be, like we said, like I kind of broke that back down to, I alluded to earlier. Your reality could essentially be you achieving that dream regardless of what it takes. That's deep.
I do want to say, if you're gonna make those pivots, only try to make calculated risks. Because last thing you want to do is like be on a good slope or a good arc, and it may not be going as fast, but if you make that just the impulse risk, it could just fail you or throw you completely off. Even though you were already on a good route, just only make calculated risks.
You gotta be
Like,
patient.
patience is another thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Weakness.
What do you guys think about, and we'll end it on a light note, we're going into a fun weekend, we're having a good time this weekend.
We don't gotta wrap it up yet. We still got a little bit of time.
Oh, we still got a little bit of time.
We're only at like 37 minutes.
Oh,
we
well,
got plenty
please.
of
Oh,
time.
yeah, well, please. Just please.
I kind of want to bring it back to the relationship thing because I feel like we didn't really get
go
into
ahead.
that too much.
We didn't, yeah.
So like, how are we trying to relate that? Because you guys kind of shut me down on my point that I made earlier.
Well, no, not shut you down, but it's like, I did say that, like, just on those, like, your point is valid to the extent of we can't list those things that you were listing. Like, we just can't list them. Because, like, with, like, your point being someone wants something, and yes, like, we can adapt ourselves to fit those wants, but we can't list caring, smart, whatever the, case may be, the moral, ethical things of, what most people want, right? We can say that, but, like, just to, list those things, we can't list those.
Okay, but I guess let's take it.
Why don't you say your point again? Just like refresh us.
So like, for example, right? I wanted a girl who was, kind, caring, generous, sweet, fun, and all that. And so I had to take a look at myself and say like, like, would somebody like that even want to date me as I am now, right? And so I had to, like, figure out, like, flaws I had. For example, like, maybe I had anger issues, or I was, like, too controlling or something, and maybe I would end up still getting a girl that I wanted like that, but would it last? And so I guess that's really the point I was trying to make, is that if you want to get like a really good partner, then you have to like do the work to make yourself worthy. And I guess that was the point I was trying to make.
So
I agree with it in a sense that, when you are looking for somebody, you are going to have to put in some work to, like, you can find somebody, but you're going to have to put in work to keep that person. Like everybody's going to have to go through a change, in a sense, when you find your so-called the one. It's going to require you to change, not necessarily change who you are, but you're going to have to, like, change yourself a little bit so that you guys can grow together, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, in order for you guys to grow together, you both are going to have to change together so that you guys fit perfectly.
And what I hear you two speaking on is basically the things that you have to do to achieve your dream, right? So, like, we're talking about the dream partner, in essentially, and it's like the things that you have to be willing. There are things beyond this dream that you have to be willing to accept, which is what you guys are alluding to. And that, in this case, it'll be being able to mold into a perfect fit, as well as adapt into a home, right, that you guys can both rely into. So even when we talk about dreams, it's like, yeah, you can want this dream, but you got to be able to accept. If you say you want a dream, and I forget what we were talking about, but it kind of reminds me of this. If you say you want a dream, you have to accept everything that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember a conversation that we spoke about the other day? And I forget, I was on the phone with my mom, and I said I was going to bring it to the podcast, but I brought it to, it was either Malik or Zenit, and I said that basically it was those people that, and sorry to switch the topic, but it just reminds me of this so much. And it was just people that wait until the time is too late, right? So say, for example, I got a perfect case scenario right here. So say you eat junk food day in and day out. Mm-hmm. You understand the risk of getting diabetes, mm-hmm. right? But you don't stop. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you are implicitly accepting the fact that you eating diabetes, like you are implicitly accepting the fact that you have a chance of getting diabetes.
Mm-hmm. But wait, did you say this person does or doesn't know?
Does know.
Yeah.
Right? Because we all know. And we, like, many times, like, when it comes to obesity, anything, and specifically the conversation that we were talking about, like, just health and stuff in the family. But when it comes to diabetes, obesity, all these things, you know that if you continue to eat a lot of soul food, you can get the gout.
Smoking. Everyone knows smoking can give you, like, cancer mm-hmm. and, like,
but people continue to do
it. People continue to do it.
So they're implicitly accepting the fact.
Accepting the risk, yeah.
That they'll... But my thing is... And first off, we can talk about that. We can leave it there first. And then I'm going to question, how do we get to those people? Right? Because many times, I think it's that they don't understand.
I think it's a calculated risk, and they have determined that no threat is imminent enough for them to change their behavior. And then even after people get diagnosed with cancer and they find out they're about, if they don't stop, that they're probably going to die, they keep smoking because if they're going to die, they're going to die happy, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a calculated decision, right? Mm-hmm. I think that. Like the farthest we could go is to educate, right? Yeah. Or because in reality, they don't see, like, whatever the statistic is of people that actually get lung cancer from smoking cigarettes. Yeah. You don't really see that, right? So, like, even if you know 1 or 3 people who smoked cigarettes every day of their lives and they never got lung cancer and they lived till they were 80 or 90, right? Like, instantaneously, like, you're gonna have a harder time convincing that person who witnessed that that there's this extreme, public health issue, right, of lung cancer from smoking, because they're like, nah, like I know 3 people, right, like, I don't feel any type of way, right? So
I think that's the thing. When it's someone close to you,
yeah,
is really when that. Because I mean, we could talk about this with COVID.
yeah.
People didn't believe in COVID until it happened to someone close to them. I didn't. I don't believe in COVID. I walk around with no mask. I don't care about none of it until someone in their family catches it and then has a hard time with it. And now they're just the uppity people in the world. Like, wear your mask, wear your mask, right? So like we all know those people, and it's like post-fact, but you knew that COVID was out and that you're supposed to wear a mask. So you implicitly accepted the fact that if you caught COVID, you're okay with that. Speak on that.
I don't really got anything to say specifically on that, because I was actually thinking about something else. And I was thinking more like, I guess, medicine related and like lifestyle, right? And how that, affects your health. I was reading this post the other day. This guy said he changed his diet to where he was only eating like chicken and broccoli, and like a whole bunch of these like health complications that he had just started going away, just because he started eating healthy. All right, and so, and I mean, you can even do the same thing for like mental health, right? It's like if you're like really struggling and have poor mental health, it's like really like simple lifestyle changes you can make to really like improve your overall like quality of life and stuff. And I don't know, that's just kind of what that's what I was thinking about, like in the back of my mind, and it kind of made me zone out and not hear what you said. So I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I apologize.
No, that's fine. That's good. I do want to bring someone from the health field on here too. I mean, I wish
my thing on it is like people are so quick to go to the doctor and get like pills or like surgeries and I don't know, like all kinds of stuff, when a lot of other things could really just be like solved just by living a healthier lifestyle.
Certainly preventative. Right?
I would say a lot of that is lack of education.
Yeah.
Right. Lack of understanding. Lack of understanding that if I did switch my diet, that it will actually work. Right. Lack of trust.
What about lack of discipline, self-control?
That as well.
Yeah, but see, like
as well to a minimum.
I would push back and say like you can't have self-control on something you decided not to have self-control over, right? So like if you made up in your mind that in the back of your head, as soon as you get home, you're gonna go smoke 3 cigarettes, and you as the person is telling you, right? Like as the person is telling you how bad it is, it doesn't matter how, right? Like you're choosing not to apply the self-control, right? So like I always get like hung up in that, and I think I talked about this on like some like previous podcasts of like, do you really want to change, right? Like,
I mean, it goes back to the first podcast when we were like, if you want to change, it's got to start with you. It's like, no matter if you don't want to change.
But you can get inspired.
You can get inspired, right. But what I'm saying is like, I could be doing something bad and, you guys could be all telling me, to do the right thing. But if I don't want to do the right thing, I'm not going to do it, right? You have to internally decide that I'm going to change and do the right thing.
This reminds me of a story that I also heard, that I was watching something, and they were talking about how it was 4 guys. Oh, the owner of the Breakfast Club. Have you guys ever heard of the Breakfast Club in Houston, Texas? So it was 4 of them. His story is it was 4 of them in the car, and they were talking about how they want to do something in life, and how they should start this business, this restaurant about breakfast and soul food, and they don't have it in the area of Houston or Texas. So nobody did in the area. This is, I think, mid to late 1990s, and they were talking about this, maybe actually early 1990s, to be honest. But I think they opened in early 2000s. So then he's like, a week later, he calls him. He simmered, he let it down. Maybe a couple days later, he calls him. He's like, yo, remember this conversation that we was talking about in the car? That we was driving around, we was doing and we had this conversation. You trying to help me? Nope. Next one. He calls the next guy. You trying to help me with this thing we was talking about in the car? We was talking about, nope, bye. He's talking about in the car. All this to say, he took that upon himself to make that decision to start that business. So like even in this case scenario, it could be everybody around you, telling you to stop. Everybody around you could be eating right, but at the end of the day, if you got it made up in your mind that you don't want to put in the the work or the effort, and same thing in that scenario, and both kind of correlations. hey, everybody in the car could be, health peak, right? And then you could be the one that catch diabetes because you made up in your mind you're gonna keep eating the Hostess and Twinkies with the cream and the ice and donuts with the extra filling, and then chocolate milk on the side, and then you dip the donut in there. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. All right.
And I'm not saying like
I'm making y'all.
I'm not saying never to eat that stuff and it's wrong.
Of course.
But yeah, I know it just surprises me how many times I might feel like shit, right? I feel like terrible, but like how maybe like simply just like going to play some basketball or just like going for a little run, and like just eating like a healthy meal. Like a lot of times it's that simple. It really is. But I mean, I'm not saying always, but I don't know. Anyways, I think we're ready to wrap up. So if we want to give our final,
we still got to talk about this. We got to talk about some type of the bell games. The energy. You got to give some soft notes.
We started with the bell game. We can end with the bell game.
We're gonna end it with the bell game too, because this is bell game weekend.
It's
so
game.
Let's talk about the experience of the bell game for those who don't know yet.
Well,
right?
let's give a little history first, right? So
Okay.
First of all, the bell game is a rivalry between Wabash College and DePaul University. And
Can we be sure to like bleep that part out, like the
with the D word.
like
we don't say their name.
But I believe it's the oldest college rivalry in the country.
Yeah.
Correct. And then, so I don't know exactly how many years old it is,
I
but
think 125.
something.
y'all got that long.
Yeah, it's
Something
125th.
like that.
I think it's
It's
125th.
long.
for a minute.
It's long, and it actually broadcasted on ESPN. It is like the only D3 game that's like on ESPN all year or whatever.
Yeah.
But so there's this like old train bell, and that's why it's called the bell game. So basically, the winner of the game, gets the bell until like the next year, and so there's lots of traditions surrounding it. So like the two schools will like try and steal the bell from each other sometimes and stuff.
Which they did.
What?
And I think tell the story about what year was it that they stole the bell from the school down south? Wabash stole the bell from DePaul, and then they got locked up, and then they got caught with the heist. It's the big heist.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll tell the heist story. So there's a story. I believe it was 1994, 1995 or something like that. And they went down. It was some sophomores on campus, and we didn't have the bell that year. It was the day before the bell game, and they took a trip from Wabash to DePaul, which is about 40 minutes away. And DePaul keeps their bell in this kind of like their athletic center, right in the middle. They had like
Like a trophy case?
like a case or something like that, right? And they did it at night. And if I believe correctly, the guy that was parked outside as they went in, they actually picked up the bell. They were walking out.
And it's a heavy bell.
It's a very heavy bell. And they were walking out with the bell. And I believe the guy that was parked outside, or somebody left the lights on or something outside, or like the car music was loud, was how they got caught or something.
Wow.
And then the police ended up grabbing him. Funny story. They go to court, everything, and then the lawyer happened to be a Wabash judge, and they got off with community service. So, but no, this is a huge game. Like we said, 125 years. Malik, did you go freshman year?
I did go freshman
What do
year.
you call from it?
It was great. We really won that game.
We should've.
I'm not even a big football fan, and I've never been the person to really be like, they cheated in football. Or like, let me say, they cheated. There's like that. Like there are actual images of like that dude's foot touching like the end zone.
Yeah.
And like they said he didn't get it right.
So we lost by one touch.
We'll leave it at that.
Right.
But so like Wabash is a 850 student small D3 school in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, right? But like when it comes to the bell game, there's just so much. It's like big school energy. Like we pack. They have to bring in extra bleachers to accommodate everyone. So we got like bleachers all around our field, and we get like so many people like tailgating.
We were walking in. First off, the tailgates was sold out a month ago. The tickets are already sold out, and they sold out early this week. But I was walking in, and I walked past one of the guys. I'm like, "Big weekend this weekend." He's like, "Yep." And what was the number he said?
He said 10,000 people.
He said 10,000 people.
Yeah.
10,000 people.
At an 850 student college.
10,000 people. We don't even have 10,000 alums yet, do we? Like,
I don't know.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
10,000
yeah,
alums,
for
but
sure, for sure.
that
But this is
is-
an old school like that. 125 years, you gotta have 10,000
for
alums.
sure.
Well, you know, everybody not alive, so. You know.
That, I mean, that's true, but
Seems like the whole city of Crawfordsville.
So yeah, we might not.
I was like, we might. I think
We
it's there. I
might,
think it's there.
have like 14,000, something like that. 'Cause,
You know,
you know, some-
we could do the math and bring it back on the next podcast.
right.
So a rough estimate, we have about.
So yeah, no, I would like to be in this press box when we get started.
No, there ain't no way
We should
can
live
appear.
stream it.
That would be.
Live stream.
We should do a live stream. No, but I'll try and get some pictures or something up here and get them something to see. But all right, so I think we kept last podcast pretty short, and I guess this one will be under an hour too, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So, last words. Let's go.
Yeah, so, the beginning, it's still out. I didn't take it down or anything, so you can still go listen to that.
actually, I'm glad you brought that up because it's a very good album.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Over 1,000. What? Over 1,000 streams?
Oh, yeah, we hit the mark. So
Yeah.
we had over 1,000 in, like, the first 2 days
Yeah.
of that album drop. So
Nice.
we hit my little goal that I set.
No, it's
Hey,
pretty
let me
good.
pull up my app. Let me see where we're at right now. Let's see where we're at. We might be at 1,500 now. Let's see. Almost. We're at 1,483 all-time streams.
Nice.
All right, all right.
Is that on like all platforms or just one?
Spotify.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure if we count in the Apple Music, we'd be over 1,500 easily.
Yeah.
Just Spotify. That's legit. Congratulations on it, man. It's big.
That's a
big
good
time,
win.
As usual, be bold, be great. Also, check out my editorial
Yes.
that I wrote for the Bell issue of The Bachelor, of those who read the WABASH newspaper. I put a special note in there about a more inclusive WABASH.
Just be who you are, nothing less.
Nothing less. Be your best. We got a lot of stuff coming out. Me and Chase had a great meeting this morning with Coach Shaman from Michigan
did.
City High School. We're gonna get some things up, some flyers and stuff up posted there. Me and Malik still doing great work there. With stuff we're gonna bring to you guys from Wabash's campus coming up here soon. Zenon's starting to crack open his Python skills because I know I will have a lot coming to his way, a lot of data. Let's get ready. I think we're moving. We got, and I won't speak on it just yet. I'm not sure if I can speak on the deal that we just closed, but we do have a deal that we'll be doing some work, a promotional video, which is going to be a huge promotional video. I think probably the best thing that we could say this school, not dropping a school name, but this school will have. I think this is probably one of the best. So we'll give that to them. Kabir, we'll brainstorm and stuff, get some stuff locked in. But I'm super excited to give you guys that. It'll be out around January-ish, early February. So other than that, Chase, talk to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna, like always, gonna end like how I started. Even though you guys didn't like my quote today, I'm still gonna say it. Don't let it go over your heads. But the most selfish thing you can do in this world is to help others.
November 25th, clothing line release. November 25th.
Get that merch.
All right, and we'll see
What is up?
you next week.